All right, welcome to another episode of the NFL Outdated Cover 2 series. This episode, we are going to be talking about Caleb Williams and the case for drafting him. Obviously, the Bears have the number one pick in the 2024 NFL Draft. They have Justin Fields. Now, the question is, do they go ahead and trade that pick, the number one pick, or do they pick Caleb Williams? And I am joined by Michael. And he is on Twitter X, Jed Hoyer Enjoyer, and he is going to lay out some of the points that he has for the Bears selecting Caleb Williams and all of that, and we'll kind of get into that. So thanks again for joining us, Michael. Obviously, we went back and forth on Twitter, and I always love face-to-face discussions. It's more fun to do that, and then you can actually kind of hear someone out as opposed to kind of going back and forth on Twitter. So thanks again for joining us, and as we get started, obviously everyone can find you on Jed Hoyer Enjoyer. You're a Cubs fan as well.
Yep, big
Awesome.
Jed Hoyer guy.
Absolutely. So go ahead and tell us, obviously why the Bears should select Caleb Williams number one in the 2024 NFL Draft.
Yeah, for sure. Hey, first of all, thanks for having me on. As I totally agree with you, as much turmoil as has happened so far this offseason, at the end of the day, if we can make any point clear, it's to me that we all just want the same thing. It's something I don't think it's talked about enough, is that at the end of the day, we all just want to see the Bears win. And in either of our lifetimes, we just haven't seen nearly enough of that. Mm-hmm. So,
and I live in Wisconsin, so I hear it every single day when the Packers.
That's got to be tough.
Yeah, it definitely is.
Yeah. But I guess to just lay a little of the groundwork to start, I just, to make the first point is that obviously, like everybody else, anybody that's watching this, I'm just a fan, and I'm, I think it's worth noting that I'm not a scout or an evaluator. And, my opinion means just as much as everybody else's. It means mostly nothing, in the grand scheme of what the Bears are going to do. I just wanted to, I happened to watch the episode, not to get too into it. I've had fun bickering back and forth with, Mr. Dan Kelly. But I watched your episode yesterday.
Appreciate that. Yeah.
Yeah. Of all of the points that he has to make against Caleb Williams, I should say. And so I went and did my own homework, and I feel like I can make a pretty good argument against literally every single thing that he said.
All right. So, yeah, let's go.
First of all, just to make the point that, like I said, I'm just a fan. So I just want to make the point that all I can do as a fan, I guess, is try to vet the information that we get, and the information that's put out there by actual NFL evaluators and people who make a living evaluating talent in the NFL, people who have worked in NFL front offices, people like Rick Spielman, who worked 30 years in the NFL as a current advisor for the Washington Commanders, who said that Caleb Williams is one of the best quarterback prospects he's ever seen, saying that he would have taken Caleb Williams over Peyton Manning. And I'm not saying that. I'm just quoting that is what he said as a guy who's worked in an NFL front office. Daniel Jeremiah, a lead draft analyst for NFL Network, said he's the most talented quarterback in the class. Mel Kiper, lead draft analyst for ESPN, said that he's the top overall prospect in the draft. Dane Brugler, lead draft analyst for The Athletic, said that he's the top overall prospect in the draft. Todd McShay compared him to Patrick Mahomes. He said he has the tools to be a future Hall of Famer. PFF has him as the top prospect overall. Albert Breer says that Albert Breer, who only puts out information that he hears, he's not even so much an evaluator as much as he's a writer, says that Caleb Williams would be ranked the second best quarterback to come out in the last 4 years. So all I'm saying is that I take, all of the information to say that this is what all of these people are saying compared to somebody who has him ranked as a 4th round quarterback and the 7th overall on his list. That's, there's obviously a huge discrepancy between one person's opinion. And that's not to say that that person's opinion necessarily means any less. And all of those guys have been wrong plenty of times.
But I think what the most difficult thing about this whole process with Caleb Williams is, you've got all that on the field stuff that he just, head and shoulders like has that talent. Mm-hmm. And then you hear all these stories, obviously the off the field stuff and handling the media. And so all that kind of gets lumped into it. I think, and then also you have Ryan Poles, and I think he is doing one of the smartest things possible, right? He said in his press conference that they're going to be evaluating the person, right? Mm-hmm. And so that kind of opens it up. So, yeah. I mean, obviously as Bears fans, we're looking for clues of like, okay, which way is he going to go? Is he going to stick with Fields or is he going to draft Caleb Williams? And I think Ryan Poles has been incredibly smart in this process. Like, we don't know which way he's going to go. Yeah. And maybe in their room, they don't know where they're going to go yet either. There's a lot of things that they need to do. And as a Bears fan, in the past, they have not done that. And as you know, they did not, evaluate all the quarterbacks possible in the past. They didn't even bring in, Patrick Mahomes, so they're kind of doing their due diligence and kind of looking at things in from all different angles. And I think that's what I like. It seems to be the process. He's trying to not tip his hand, because whether he's going to go with Caleb Williams and trade Fields, then he can get more. So so it is. But yeah, I mean, it is overwhelming. You hear about all these different scouts and everything like that, how good he is. And so to me, that as a fan, I don't know, I get a little bit worried about that, right? I want to hear like some of the negative stuff to say, okay, well, obviously no quarterback and no prospect is perfect. So does that worry you at all?
Say that again.
Does that worry you at all? Like, you hear all these people just saying positive things that, maybe, people aren't necessarily looking at like things where he can improve. Because obviously we know whether you're on your, you like Justin Fields or not, even if you like him, that he has to improve in some things. Yeah,
of course. I think that to me, the main point being that obviously there's been a lot that's been said about, the stuff, which I don't, to be clear, I don't think we would so much say off the field as much as on the sidelines or, yes, his antics or, that kind of deal. But I think it's important to say that, all of those other guys between Rick Spielman, between Daniel Jeremiah, Mel Kiper, Dane Brugler, all of those guys, in my opinion, are evaluating the same information that even the people who have been really critical of his antics. And to me, it's all just such speculation to assume what kind of a person, what kind of a player he is based on certain stuff that, to me, just to be honest with you, it doesn't bother me at all. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say that he's, nobody's a perfect prospect. I also do want to make the point that personally, I've never said that he's even going to be a good NFL quarterback. I'm digging my feet all the way down that I believe 100% that Ryan Poles is going to draft Caleb Williams. I 100% believe that, based on 1 + 1 = 2. If he is the prospect that all of these, well-respected evaluators seem to think he is, and we're a team, as much as we love Justin Fields, a team that's never had a quarterback in its entire existence. So to think that Ryan Poles is going to pass on that guy, because he cried in the stands or because he paints his nails, to me, it's just as crazy to believe that as it is to think that they should pass on him, despite his unbelievable talent.
Now, with that talent, you look at, where the team is at. Obviously, they signed Montez Sweat. They've got DJ Moore. I feel like that defense is really improving. This team seems to be in a win now mode. does that worry you about Caleb Williams kind of being a rookie, coming into that type of environment? And do you think then that Caleb would be able to continue to lead the Bears into the playoffs maybe in a year or two?
Yeah, to me, I'm a big believer in, if you can upgrade at the quarterback position, I think you have to. I think that most people would agree that quarterback is the most important position in all of sports. And as we're watching these games today, we're watching right now two of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. And these are the guys that are consistently playing football games at the end of January. And, to me, that over everything, over whether or not they're ready to win now, keep in mind, Montez Sweat is 27 years old. DJ Moore is 26 years old. It's not like these guys are old veterans getting ready to hang it up anytime soon. These guys got plenty of miles left on them. So to me, if you could tell me that Caleb Williams in the next 2 years could be playing at the level of Justin Fields, right now, or we would assume that his ceiling projects to be much higher than Justin Fields, then I think that you have to take a chance on that potential. That's just my opinion. But, again, like I said, I think we all like Ryan Poles. I'm a big Ryan Poles fan. I think that he's going to end up taking a chance on that potential.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at, what he's done in the draft, obviously there's some people that are anti Ryan Poles. I don't know how you really can be at this point. I mean, obviously he's made some questionable moves with the Claypool trade and stuff like that. But you look at his 2023 draft, and you got multiple starters there. You got some really solid picks that they're building on. Caleb Williams, I mean, he would be that superstar. To me, I would worry about, that obviously the off the field stuff, because, Chicago, we haven't had a quarterback. And that's what I would worry about. Okay, the pressure is going to be on him. Can he be the guy? And that's, the off the field stuff. What I do like about Fields is that he has, in the face of, no matter what, he's been the same guy, right? And he's a very respectful guy. But I can see that the appeal to say, okay, well, we've got this superstar, we have to take him, and we still have another pick to kind of continue to surround him, and then maybe get some stuff back for Fields. So when you look at, do you think this draft is going to go down as kind of the most important in Bears history?
I mean, it's easily the most important, I would say, in my lifetime. I'm turning 29 in a couple weeks. I've watched since the days of Mike Brown and Charles Tillman and Chris Harris and Adewale Ogunleye, and I grew up, started watching a team that was already kind of good, and then just kind of has been really bad ever since. But I think that, of course, whatever they decide to do in this draft is going to, change the trajectory of the team for better or worse for probably the next 5 years. I did want to hit on a point, if I can, about the stage being too big for Caleb Williams, and I think that. Number one, I do have some points that I can make about, there are reasons why I'm pretty much out on Justin Fields. And if he's the quarterback, God forbid, next season, then it is what it is. I'm still going to be a Bears fan. So is everybody else who's got Caleb Williams profile pictures as we speak. But, the one thing that you can say about Justin Fields is that he can absolutely – handle the media. He seems like a great teammate. Off of the field, he's got he's a perfect prospect off the field. He's the perfect face of a franchise. And I love that about Justin Fields. I just hate the way that we don't win when he's playing quarterback. And, to me, I think that the stage too big argument, it's hard for me. So that was actually, if watching your video yesterday with Dan, that was the first point actually that he made, was that the stage will be too big for Caleb Williams. A couple of things about the stage being too big for Caleb Williams. Number one, Caleb Williams was the number one quarterback coming out of high school. He was the number one quarterback coming out of high school, and then went to go play at Oklahoma. And in his first ever game, he played in front of 92,000 fans, which is a record in the Red River rivalry, by the way. 92,000 fans, came into the game down 3 scores and immediately scored a touchdown in his first ever play. That to me is a knock against the argument that he can't play well under pressure. After that, he moved on to go play at USC, where he went to go play in the second biggest city. People talk about how tough Chicago is, and I'm sure it obviously is. But he went to go play in the second biggest city in America, where the most popular football team in that city is USC. There's more USC football fans than there are Rams or Chargers fans. I lived in LA. They don't care about the NFL in LA. They're USC fans.
I was to say, talking about the big game, I do remember one just amazing play at Oklahoma, just that play where he took the ball away from his teammate as he was falling down to get a first down, and just how intelligent he is. And so on the field, he definitely has that, And
that was a huge play in the game, by the way. That was I think that was against Kansas. And if he didn't do that, they would have had to turn the ball over, and Kansas would have had a chance to go down and score.
Absolutely.
So that was a huge play and a huge moment. I just, to me, the thought that, he can't handle the pressure of playing the NFL, it's totally, it's completely speculative. I don't think there's any evidence to prove that.
Yeah, absolutely. And you don't know until you know. The one thing I wanted to ask you about, are you worried about his size at all? Because looking at a lot of his highlights, obviously, he can throw, he can make every pass. And I think that's why, scouts love him so much. But a lot of the plays seem to be similar to Justin Fields on some of the move in the pocket and things like that. Are you worried about his size? And obviously that kind of taking a toll on him, because he's only 6'1", 215 pounds. So he's smaller than Justin Fields. Does that worry you at all?
No, not at all. He's an NFL quarterback size. He is. I mean, he's not. I mean, look, if we could build a quarterback in a lab, obviously, Drake May, who's 6'3", probably 225, 230. Is that better? Of course. Do you prefer, Mason Rudolph or Daniel Jones? I mean, these are all big quarterbacks. Does that make them good at playing quarterback? No. You look around today, you've got guys like Brock Purdy is pretty much about 6'1", 215. Jalen Hurts is probably about 6'1", 220. Baker Mayfield is another guy who's probably about 6'1", 220. I mean, give or take 5 pounds, I'm not worried about it at all personally. If you look at what his strengths are his quickness and his ability to elude pressure. And, part of that probably has something to do with his size. You got a guy like Josh Allen, who's huge, obviously, and Josh Allen is a quarterback who can run through you. Caleb Williams is never going to do that in the NFL, clearly, but he's probably going to be a lot harder to take down than a guy like, for that matter, even Justin Fields. People talk about Justin Fields' athleticism as it compares to, I think even Justin Fields fans would concede the fact that Caleb Williams probably has a better arm than
absolutely. Justin Fields. I would agree with that. Yeah.
And the counter to that is, well, Justin Fields is more athletic than Caleb Williams. And obviously I'm not going to argue that Justin Fields isn't one of the most athletic quarterbacks in the NFL. But what I will say is that in terms of quickness and eluding pressure, Caleb Williams tested more athletically than Justin Fields did coming out of high school. He in the same camp, he tested better with a higher vertical jump, and he tested faster in a 20-yard shuttle than Justin Fields did. So can is he as big or fast, as strong? Can he run and take hits 40 yards down the field like Justin Fields? Probably not. But, in the structure of an NFL pocket, I think that you can make the argument that his size doesn't hurt him. Look at a guy like Russell Wilson even.
Now, obviously, you're convinced that the Bears are going to select Caleb Williams, with that first pick. If they don't, would you be able to reconcile yourself if they got like a huge haul for the picks? Or would that be kind of tough to be like, okay, well, we got to be on Team Justin again?
Yeah. I guess we'll cross that bridge when it comes. To me, the idea that we could get some big ridiculous haul for Caleb Williams, to me, the idea that it's not Caleb Williams versus Justin Fields, it's Caleb Williams versus Justin Fields and picks, that doesn't necessarily make any sense to me when you consider, just look at their contract situation. If you were, if over the course of the next 4 years, if you're taking Caleb Williams, you're looking at a $38 million contract over the course of the next 4 years. Whereas Justin Fields, even though this year he's only $6 million, if they do decide to use his fifth-year option, there's $23 million. And now you have to sign him to an extension where he's going to be making, realistically, somewhere between $50 and $60 million a year. So to assume that you're going to be able to surround him with that much talent, even though you're going to have to pay him elite quarterback money, you have to hit on at least half of those draft picks that you're getting just to break even on the talent that you can surround Justin Fields with, as a comparison to just taking who might be the better quarterback and having that salary cap space to be able to surround him with talent. To me, it's the same thing.
So now, obviously, you think that they're going to take Caleb Williams. In that scenario, they definitely are trading Justin Fields, right?
Yeah, of course. I can't see a scenario where they would keep both of them. But if that's what Poles decides to do, that's up to him. But
would you prefer then that they start Caleb Williams game one?
Yeah, me personally, and again, I'm not a scout, I'm not a coach. I'm a personal believer that in nature over nurture, just kind of in general. To me, this idea that Patrick Mahomes is who he is because he got to sit a year behind Alex Smith, who's nothing like him as a quarterback, is crazy to me. Or for that matter, Aaron Rodgers, who sat so long behind Brett Favre, who kind of famously just ignored Aaron Rodgers in those years that they were together. And, I just don't – in anything that we do, how do you not get better doing it than just doing it?
Well, yeah. So that's kind of been the argument back and forth that I've had with Packer fans, talking about even Jordan Love. Like now he had, good back half of the season, and he's looking good, but still needs to be a little bit more consistent. But a lot are saying, Packers fans are saying, oh, well, he's a rookie. No, he's not a rookie. In game time he is, because, you have to learn on the field, but that doesn't mean he didn't learn anything at all. But I think when you look at the way the Bears handle Justin Fields is they held him out. They didn't even let him have snaps in training camp. And if they're going to go Caleb Williams, I would rather throw him in the fire. See, can he handle it, and just kind of go.
Yeah, to me, you're either good or you're not good. And, that's the big thing. Everyone wants to say, well, if you throw him out there and he's no good, then they just ruined him too. It doesn't make any sense to me to think that, this narrative that the aura in Hallis Hall just ruins quarterbacks. It's just, they just don't take enough of them. There's nothing about being in Green Bay. You look at, the people who are in the building in Green Bay who are developing Jordan Love and the people who are in the building in Green Bay developing Brett Favre, it's a complete 100% turnover. These are not the same humans that are developing each quarterback. But
the one I was going to say, the one thing that I would say is they are different people, but they've had like consistency, and that's, I think the Bears have kind of screwed up, is not having that consistency. You're changing offensive coordinators, changing coaches, that can make a difference. And with what Jordan Love, I mean, obviously, I'm a Bear fan. I hate to see the Packers do well, but they allowed LaFleur, obviously, and Love are a great pairing, I think, but they allowed Love to just throw interceptions, mess up, kind of learn. And I think, like, even going back to Peyton Manning, he was throwing a ton of interceptions. You have to learn on the job and be okay with those mistakes so that you can teach them. And the Bears haven't done that. Whatever coach has been there.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, it's a tough argument to make. It's just, to me, I fully believe that if Ryan Pace drafted Patrick Mahomes instead of Mitch Trubisky, are the Bears on their way to their third Super Bowl right now? Maybe not. But to think that he would just be, released at this point playing for the Steelers is crazy to me. It just completely, devalues the talent that he actually has. He's one of the best quarterbacks of all time. And to think if he would have gone to Chicago, he would have been ruined is crazy.
I would agree with that. Well, lots to talk about and discuss until April, until the draft actually happens or a trade happens. Hopefully we know sooner or later, so we can just kind of be focused on one or the other and maybe be united as Bears fans and just kind of moving forward.
Yeah, we like I said at the beginning, we all just want the same thing. Mm-hmm. If they don't decide to draft Caleb Williams, then I'm going to be a Bears fan, and I hope that Caleb Williams fails horribly for the Commanders or the Patriots or whoever. I don't, he won't matter to me at all. I fully believe that the Bears are going to draft him, and any of the information or misinformation that comes out until then is, it's all just easily thrown away to me. But like you said, at the end of the day, whatever they decide to do, I'll be 100% on board.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Yeah, none of us are actually in that war room, and none of us kind of know exactly what they're going to do. And maybe some of these things are coming out are steering things a certain way. But at the end of the day, with Caleb, without Caleb, I want to see the Bears in a Super Bowl. I want to see them winning a Super Bowl. I want to see them being in that contention year after year. And it's tough to see your rivals kind of, surpassing you in that. And, we're just kind of still spinning our wheels.
Yeah. Well, to me, the quickest medicine to doing that is finding a quarterback. It's something that we've never had. A lot of people got on, I want to say is Robert Schmitz, I think his name was. A lot of people got on him for saying that, maybe it's time. It would be so Bears to pass on Caleb Williams and have the best defense in the NFL and not be able to beat any of these teams because we don't have good quarterback play. Maybe it's time to try something else. And he got a lot of flack for that, but he's right. We watched the Bears in 2005 get to the Super Bowl with Rex Grossman and with the best defense in the league, and then we couldn't do anything. In 2018, we had the best defense in the NFL, and we had Mitch Trubisky throwing the ball, and we just, we weren't going to win in January. We definitely weren't going to win in February. So, at some point, the quarterback matters. And,
absolutely.
And, to this point, Justin Fields, he hasn't gotten it done yet.
Absolutely. Well, I appreciate your time, Michael. Where can everyone find you on socials and everything?
Mostly I'm just on Twitter, at Jed Hoyer Enjoyer. I'm sure you'll see me troll the Fields fanatics for the next 3 months, and
Bring it on. Hey, I'm okay with that.
I'm just gonna keep having
Yeah.
fun doing that, and I welcome all arguments, because to me they're all easily refuted.
Yeah, I can see that. Well, once again, it's been NFL Outdated Coverage 2 series on the 2024 NFL Draft, the case for Caleb Williams. Thanks again, Michael, and bear down.
Yeah, bear down.